This is the Healing Hour for November 20th, 2018. This is your host, Tyhson Banighen, the Luminator, your number one health, wealth, and enlightenment activator. Need some help? Give me a call toll free, 1-866-369-7464. We are now live on Facebook, and this is Tyhson Banighen, the Energy Detective, and this is the Healing Hour, a live talk show. There's two ways you can join me to receive a healing or a clearing, or to ask questions about dowsing and energy healing. You can phone in toll free, 1-866-369-7464. You can click the Zoom link, which is in the comments where this is being broadcast. And last but not least, you can leave your comments or questions in the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy on Facebook. And one more, if you ask for clearings in the Dowsing and Energy Healing closed Facebook group, we'll try and answer them as well today on the show. So welcome to the show, and I'm with you for the next hour. And we have three guests joining me, so we'll just bring them on board. And as I said, we're waiting for your call-free call, 1-866-369-7464. So welcome to the show, Trudy. And welcome to the show, Arunas. And hi, there you are.
How are you, Tyhson?
We're good. We're good. Welcome back to the show. We missed you last week.
I was watching you guys, was a little bit not my specialty, so I stayed away. Let somebody else talk.
Guess what? It's not my specialty either, but I guess it's becoming my specialty. So, Trudy, we can't see you. Are you hiding on us?
I'm not sure what's happening there.
Yeah, we can't see you. We can hear that nice Aussie accent, but we don't see you.
Okay, I'll have a look.
So yeah, the whole situation with Facebook continues. I've been in and out of Facebook jail so many times I've lost count. This is the week that we'll try and figure out what's going on. But I must say what has been beneficial about that is looking at how other ways that I can work with my tribe and reach out. So we're doing a weekly what's up, what's coming up on the Academy, and sending out an email to everybody on the list. So, but I am posting less on Facebook because I don't quite know what's getting me into trouble and what isn't. So very interesting times. Lots is happening. The good, bad, and the ugly is showing up. So how are you doing, Arunas? Lots happening in your life?
Working and doing research. Working with recently bumped because in a problems that I couldn't heal some people, and I couldn't work on certain organs. And usually, what I do very relatively easy with dissolving kidney stones. I had some problems and start working and digging, and sadly, I found that all kind of problems, and this is for group and information to digest. Whatever you have, chronic disease, very often it could be related to the parasites. And like, for example, the fungus or helminths, they really can attack. And for example, I was working because when we douse, we're sending the certain waves, right, into the next person, and whatever you have. Parasites, or it's bacteria, or it's a worms, or fungus, or whatever, they kind of act like a cloud, like interrupting cloud. and that cloud usually basically takes all our energy to help people to heal something, and that's a fact. For example, I was working on a kidney. An individual showed, like, I was working, I creating the codes and energy codes, and they're very effective. But when energy goes to the kidney stone, an individual used to report me that, yeah, I feel way better, but suddenly 3 days later, he feels again bad. And eye testing, and it shows that, yeah, the stone's shrinking very slowly. And then I started reading information about, the problems, and I found that, yeah, there is the invasion of helminths. And, in other situations, I found that the bacteria can be, especially when people have a problem, let's say, with the urinary tract infection, that also affects the healing. So please, anybody, if you guys trying to work on somebody, make sure you understand that it might be some big enemy behind that. I mean, it's not only the disease itself, but something behind it. So, for example, whenever you have rashes on the skin, and if individual for some reason doesn't tell you that he has a fungus, like, nail fungus or whatever. So, or for example, eczema directly related to fungus. So if somebody has a fungus, there's no luck with the eczema, because the best what we can do is just to temporarily remove some effects of the disease, but disease will come back very quickly because parasites multiplying now very quickly. So that's what I wanted to share today. I'm upset myself because when we need to work on somebody and we can't finish and help, that's upsets me very much, because then we have to take a very, very long route to work with that.
Well, I know that with certain clients, when it comes to depossession or exorcism, that if their vibrational frequency isn't strong enough, or their spiritual aura isn't strong, or however you want to put it, repossession happens almost immediately. And so it's the same, the energy level of the body has to be strong enough that whatever work you're doing, the virus or the disease or the disorder or the entity can't re-inhabit the body. So I always like to try and work with a client sort of like a two-legged race, right? We have to be in lockstep. We have to do this together. Otherwise, I don't want to work with a client. Because I'm finding more and more with these higher, more evolved intrusions into energy fields that we need to do it together. I need to be excluding the possession or the entities or the virus or whatever out of the body, and at the same time the client has to be building their energy system, either emotionally and mentally, spiritually, going to the gym, eating better food, drinking better water. There's a whole host of different things. So I'm really going to be retooling my Take Back Your Power course to have a physical component, a diet component, energy component, because they're all part of the holistic approach to build a system so that repossession or disease and disorder doesn't come back again. So
that's a great point you're making, Tyhson, because I believe everybody met people, and many of them in the practice, or those who are just starting the healing practice, they will meet them. The clients who say, okay, do it. I
Yeah.
was gonna wait for you. And then I
solve this. Janet, you wanted to say something?
I was going to add to what you were saying. There's also the emotional component. And
Absolutely.
In theta healing, it's almost a clue. Like if it's a bacteria, then there's the frequency of guilt and shame. If there's fungus, it's resentment. If it's a virus, it's feelings of self-worth. So we need, like, we work on it two ways. Part is to change the emotional belief systems of the people, and also we actually work with the bacteria or the virus, or they have their own like you're talking about entities, they'll have their own consciousness as well. And
they're conscious. They're absolutely conscious.
Right.
Yeah, along that line here, this is my favorite 2-volume book, Messages from the Body. And, every disease and disorder has a component that has an emotional component to it, like Janet says. And it's interesting enough, my buddy downstairs, I took this down because he has certain problems. And he said, no, I can't go along with this. It's too negative. Yeah, but it's negative because you haven't dealt with the underlying issue in your energy field. Oh, yes, it's negative because you haven't processed it yet. So, I mean, this is really based on, primarily most of it is between the age of 0 and 7, where there's some misunderstanding about what somebody said, and that misinterpretation and in the family of origin causes the child to misinterpret what was said, that then can lead to disease or disorder. Now, most of it is at that level. Some of it can be in the womb, and some of it can be prenatal, and some of it can be past life. In my belief system, some of it can be future lives that's bleeding into this life. So I'm not saying everything is contained in this book, but this is pretty amazing. He's no longer on the planet. But this is a brilliant thesis on this. And in fact, he has, I think, 5 or 6 other books as well. So if you're interested in energy healing, Messages from the Body, Volume 1 and Volume 2 is well worth considering. So, Arunas, when you do you're actually working with scalar energy, are you? Or are you doing, how are you doing the treatment?
I do many different things. I work it depends on the situation.
Right. So some of it's radionics. Some of it you use radionics numbers, and some of it you don't. It depends. Is that right?
It depends on what I work with. For example, I'm working right now with some individual. He had a big possession of entities and human spirits. I started working, with I have a connection. There's Farah Darmani, the Iranian or Persian system, and I'm quite advanced in that. And I work just initially removing the entities and with the help of the consciousness. Mm-hmm. Then next level with the Russian cosmoenergy, it's then I work cleaning individual, basically gradually till the point when I cannot remove entities or let's say entities that way. Then I start dowsing and searching for the frequencies of the entity. When I get the frequencies of the entity, then I create vibrational codes, and those codes basically then eliminate. Which is in general, I don't like killing entities. It's not the right way to do, but sometimes the possession is too strong, so you can't do that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And speaking about the components, every disease, let's say, or whatever we're talking, let's say virus, it has like 4 components. the component of the information. Think the computer, it's just like a computer, right? And then component of frequency, component of structure, and component, like Janet said, is the emotional component. So that's also, I pay very much attention to that, when I work with some, components, when I thinking about, let's say, entity or something like that. Sometimes I removing entity by removing its informational component, structural component, frequency component, and component of emotional component.
Right, very good. One of the new things that's come to my attention, I think I mentioned it on the last call, but I'll mention it again, is when I'm dealing with problems of possession, or that there's there's people having thoughts in their heads or voices in their heads or whatever. What I'm finding is there's a whole new level of possession that's occurring, which is through microwave technology. The difficulty with the microwave technology, primarily on 5G, which is the weaponized energy, because it all microwave goes through all living matter. There's no barrier to it, and because it can be programmed to affect the brain, literally, there's no entity in which to remove from the body, because it's not a living entity. In other words, it's a broadcast frequency, and so there's nothing to talk to. So, like you say, Arunas, with entities, I like to talk to them because some of them don't know that they're doing things that are non-beneficial to humans. Some don't know that they're co-opted by other energies that are working with a different agenda. So talking to entities and giving them free choice, and allowing them to continue with their soul evolution, no matter how horrific they may seem to be, is a compassionate thing that I think that we should be doing. But when it comes to electromagnetic radiation and that type of interference into the brain, then there's nothing to talk to. There's no reasoning there. So what I found with that is a lot of it comes from the cell phone itself. In other words, the cell phone can be programmed with a bot of some kind of broadcasting to the client. And some of the symptoms are that they'll have fuzzy thinking. There'll be actual burning in the back of the brain. There will be the feeling of possession. There'll be voices in your head, which are all aspects of possession. But the way that you can deal with that is get a phone and get the right security on the phone, so it can't be corrupted or taken over. So that's one aspect of it. The second aspect of it, it looks like a lot of this is coming through online gaming. So whoever is involved in online gaming, be careful who and how and why you play games online with other people. So there you are. That's the latest.
I want to mention one more thing, and I have an emergency call. I have to go. When dealing with the entities, whoever trying to deal or work certain on a low level of exorcism, you have to understand that entities have a backing up, like they belong to some higher structures, like so to speak, higher collective mind structures, right? And those structures protect them, or they can interfere with you. So if you let entity go and you're going to be like loyal to that, they're going to be, so to speak, loyal to you. They're not going to attack you. But if you're going to start killing entities left and right, most likely you're going to be attacked by organized mind of those entities, because you basically declaring the war. We're not to do the war, we to do the harmony. That's our mission.
Right. Do no harm. Yeah, absolutely agree with you. And some of those low-level entities, like call them minions, don't even know that they've been co-opted by non-beneficial forces. So sometimes when you explain to them, hey, do you know that you are interrupting with the soul growth of humans, they're quite shocked and surprised because they think they're on a mission to do something completely different because they've essentially been brainwashed. So a lot of them, just by having a conversation with them and giving the choice of whether they'd like to work in a benevolent way, a lot of them will choose to do that. So giving those beings an opportunity is really can be quite valuable.
That's a message to everybody. Guys, learn. Ask Tyhson to teach you. This is the beginning. This is the first steps we have to learn. You have to learn to deal with entities, with the possessions, and take care of yourself, to learn how to clean yourself, to learn how to clean your house, your room, and your family. When you learn this, that's going to be a huge, huge step in your development as a dowser and as a healer. This is, guys, please pay attention to that. Tyhson knows a lot. Just today when he speaks, I'm not his student, but the way he speaks, that's exactly what it is, guys. So I say goodbye to everybody. I have to go. Sorry. See you next week.
Thank you, Rena. See you next week. Thanks for jumping on.
Bye-bye.
Always a pleasure. Have a good week.
Same. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah, same to you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So, Janet, you certainly have had this experience about learning how to clear yourself and take back your power and stand in your truth and all of that, and what's yours and what's somebody else's, and whose voice is in whose head doing what. And one of the beautiful things is you're pretty well out the other side now, right?
Yeah, it's been a long journey, and I'm really grateful for the 7 months that I did spend at Sunnybray. Like, I was one of the lucky people that was your student, and we did the 21-day clearing, and it's been a journey. I think I'm so much on the other side now that my vibration's so high. It's like, well, the position's not there because it's not in my world.
Yeah.
It's kind of what I was saying about, like, if you're on the frequency of guilt and shame, then you can be infected by the virus or the parasite. But once you get to the place where you know that all there is love, if you're not feeling that good all the time, then it's just a matter of saying this is an illusion, and just I am who I am, and whatever else, clear or leave. It's been an amazing journey, and it's something I wouldn't have been able to do alone. I needed other people.
Yeah, it takes a team sometimes. It says it takes a team to raise a child. I think it takes a team to clear. I think it takes a team to ascend. It takes a team to be enlightened. So I think that's one of the things as light way, way shares, or part of the ascension process is that we haven't really learned how to do this as a group. We tend to want to do it as individuals. And I think our next logical evolutionary step is to realize that collectively, not only are we responsible for creating our own world that we live in, being entity free, is collectively, when we join forces, just how much we can clean up the planet and create the world that we want collectively. I think that's the exciting next step that's in front of us. I just wanted to shift the topic just a bit, Dan, and I think the best way to say this is apologize to you with regard to our conversation way back when we were talking about the fires in Agenda 21, and you were giving me this information, and I got a little defensive around all that because I was actually part of Agenda 21. I was part of the Canadian delegation to UNCED, United Nations Environment and Development, and part of the official delegation at the United Nations. And it took me quite a while to realize that we were, as an environmentalist or as an environmental group, we were being co-opted, that there was a bigger agenda. And we were invited not because we were bringing about the environmental point of view to bring about sustainability, but they wanted to be able to say when everything was said and done that they had consulted with the environmentalists and they had signed off. Now, saying that, I also experienced that both at the provincial and federal level, because I used to be on delegations. I was in Ottawa usually about once a month. I'd be flying to Ottawa to be on some government panel as an environmentalist, giving feedback on forestry or whatever, or sustainable agriculture or whatever. But it didn't take me too long. Well, I guess it took me quite a few years to realize that, it was a token show up. Yeah, they paid your flight out there, they listened to you, but essentially they just said we consulted with the environmentalists, but it really didn't change any legislation at any one of those levels, provincial, federal, or governmental. And it just became really clear to me through a number of different sources about what's happening with the fires in California. And, some people are saying it's Agenda 21. I don't know whether it's Agenda 21, but it certainly is the same process that happened with the Twin Towers. And that is that there are certain ways in which to alleviate the barriers that are in the way to bring about the development of those in power that want to bring out the development on the land they want. And if there's people and buildings in the way and lives that will be lost, that doesn't matter. That's seen as part of the, what would you say? That's just things we need to clear out of the way to get on with the agenda that we have. So it was pretty amazing to see some of the videos coming out of California about how the fires were started, and some of the testimony and from leading firefighters that they've never seen anything like that ever before. And again, we're back to what I was talking about, the new warfare, which is, electromagnetic energy and scalar wave technology and 5G and all the rest of that, microwave, and what a incredible weapon it is, because one, it's untraceable, two, it's inexpensive, three, it can be highly targeted, and it actually doesn't destroy anything except what you direct it at. So it's the ideal weapon, so to speak. Having said all that, interesting enough, and when I tune into it, normally when it comes to fires and to working with elementals, I get a clear message that I can work with them, and to participate is well appreciated. But in this particular case, the real message is stand down, don't get involved. This has got nothing to do with elementals. It has to do with other things, and that there's an agenda there, and let the agenda go through. And I doesn't mean I don't have sympathy for all the people and all the animals that are going through this horrific experience, but it's interesting that normally where I could be involved, I'm not being allowed to be involved. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say.
Well, the theta healers have been working on the theta healers with the DNA3, working with their elementals to contain contain where it is and move the winds, and that there are people that are working as a group to do stuff. My intuition is that we don't fight it there. We fight it at the level, or it's not actually a fight. It's just to go to the level, like the people that are wanting to take over and that are using these weapons, whatever oaths and contracts that they have over the people, we need to set people free to wake them up to see, how you said you felt like when you described the entities and they were like minions, it's kind of what was happening with the environmentalists. There's people that are like pawns in the agenda.
Yeah, they're being co-opted.
Right. Yeah. So,
I think the message is even, so there's multiple ways to deal with this. So rather than dealing with the elementals, which I usually would do, which is calming the fires and redirecting the energies, cooling them down and everything, the message being, no, don't do that, or that's not the level. Then the next level up that makes perfect sense to me is put the whole thing in a court of atonement, right?
exactly, that's to do
Okay,
that.
so at that level, and there's no judgment in that. It's just, all those beings that are involved in bringing about this horrific experience. So we go something like this. I, Tyhson Banighen, in my holy name, with the assistance of Divine Mother and Creator God of all that is, call a full court of atonement for all those beings involved, both those that are victims and perpetrators of the fires in California, to call a full court of atonement, and all beings on all levels of creation that are involved indirectly will be called to this court of atonement for full reconciliation on all levels at the highest court possible, and that this will be sorted out at that level, and that I declare it so in my holy name, so be it, it is done, and then let it go, knowing that at the highest level, by calling that's my responsibility to call it, but it's not my responsibility to solve it. So that's one way in which I would say would be beneficial to get at. And then the other one that comes from conversations through the meditation group that I'm with is, our job is to not dwell on that at all, but is to become beacons of light ourselves. And that as beacons of light, by going inside and clearing our own fire, managing our own inner kundalini, where do we have fear and doubt and shame and guilt? Where are we not using our creative fires in our sexual kundalini spiritual energy? Where is it blocked, and can we release it to come through the crown chakra and clear our connection to source, so that we're literally like a lighthouse? And that when we are that way, it becomes like the wordless sutra. There's nothing we need to say or do, that the souls, like you say, that are the minions, or those that are waking up, will be attracted to the light. And by the fact they're attracted to the light, they will immediately be connected to their higher consciousness through that attraction, and we start to receive guidance which is appropriate for them. So the beauty of that, we don't have to be on a stage, we don't have to do videos, we don't have to complain, we just have to show up. So that's sort of the highest level of understanding around all this is, so let us all be lighthouses, right? Let us shine our light, What is you should have a song for that. What is it? Be the little light,
Well, it's the whole, I just remember the Care Bears, just do the Care Bear stare, so you just go up to the higher level, and you just, everybody that's, so cranky that they have to blow up things and take over the world, just love bomb.
Right. So what's the song with I'm the little light I am, or I'm the little light, or?
Oh, this little light of mine.
There you are. This little light of mine.
Yeah, I'm going there. Yeah, but that's what I was saying a while ago. After the 7 months, now that I'm learning to love myself and like myself,
Yeah.
if you're at a higher frequency, then it's not in your world. Okay, you can.
It's not in your world, but not everybody's there. So I want to do as much as I can for those that aren't there. So. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the way I see it, it's like playing freeze tag. Okay. So if you're frozen, we just have to get under the legs of all the people so that they know that they're not frozen, that this is just an illusion.
Yeah, that's true. Or another way of thinking about it is, I can choose to play on the chessboard and do what I want. And then I can, like you say, it's not in my world, so I can step off the chessboard and it doesn't have any effect on me. And then I can say, well, I want to help more people understand that they're on the chessboard of light and dark, so I can step on and do some more work. But generally speaking, I'm not on the chessboard. I choose not to be on the chessboard of light and dark. It's just too overwhelming. So Trudy, what's happening in your world? You're in a different room than the last time. Where are you?
No, this is still my healing room.
Oh,
Yeah.
you've moved your desk, or you've moved your chair, or
Yeah, you can tell. So I've moved my office into here now, and I've had a bit of rearranging and organising the house. And I actually had a what's the guy he works with geo grids and lines.
oh, a geomancer came.
Yeah, so he came and he did some work with the house and did some training with me also. And yeah, the house feels quite nice, and shifted a few things around. So I've moved my office. I didn't want my office desk in my healing room, but now it is, and that's kind of nice because it's all in the one room and the one area. And yeah, it feels good. I've had the house cleared. Speaking of entities today, he did a healing with me also, and he found that I have quite a psychic attack energy that is attacking me, but hiding behind other guides and spirits that I have. So he said it wouldn't be easy for me to see. And then I also had another friend that does work with me as well, and asked her to check for me, and she thought that, without telling her what was going on, and she found the same, that she thought that a woman that's close to me that has been in courses, psychic courses and things, that is quite powerful, that she's attacking my energy, and she's not wanting me, she's attacking my spiritual energy and not wanting me to grow.
Yeah, she's jealous.
Yeah, jealousy, yeah.
Right. I got a message to check your, did he check your barn?
Did he check my?
Did you check the barn?
No.
Could you get the barn checked?
Well, I can probably do it myself now. I'm going to go back and do a little bit more training with him. And he's, so my dowsing rods that I had before, my divining rods I had before, so he suggested that not to use copper, because he thinks that copper is for picking up more salt water under the ground, and he prefers to use galvanized wire.
Well, let's throw that out. All of my dowsing rods are copper, and they're fantastic. So we'll just erase all of that. But it's okay. Everybody has their own belief system, and so as long, Trudy, when you get up in the morning, it's whatever you want to believe in is true. So you can choose.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I felt that they had been working for me, but I just felt I needed guidance on what they were actually showing me. Yeah.
So, so go to the barn and clear all the geopathic stress there as well. That's what I'm getting. I'm not saying there's a problem and everything, but it could be your first your first sort of assignment to take the knowledge and go check the barn and clear it all up. You're going to have half your animals for sure. Mm-hmm. You don't have your certificates up on the wall yet?
No, I don't. I'm still, every time I hop on a webinar, I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't got those certificates up. Tyson's going to ask me.
So where are they? Are they in the corner?
No, they're all framed.
Right. Did you get enough frames for all of them?
No, I'm still waiting on more frames.
Okay. It's in progress. Right.
Yeah, it's a work in progress, but my room's coming together nicely. I still don't feel like I'm going to work in here very much, and even after working with the guy that came to clear the house the other day, I still feel like I'm going to be mobile, and I'm going to be going to other people's houses.
Neat. Yeah, mobile. Well, Janet has a nickname. Tell her what your nickname is.
Traveling. I muted myself. Yeah. Traveling theta healer. So I like to what I love to do is get invited to somebody's home, and like they host me and I teach them. Like I love to go play at Sunny Bray.
Sunnybury is where I live. So yeah, so
Yeah,
she's a traveling theta healer, and she just goes to wherever people wants and teaches them and
Yeah.
does healing there. And so she has a traveling show, and you know, Canada's a pretty big country. She's literally goes from one end of the country to the other, right? So I don't know how many times I've been across Canada in the last couple of years.
Oh, I for the last 5-6 years I've done it at least once a year or back and forth. So
Yeah, that's a long way. How many days does it take you?
well, it's about 5 days to.
Yeah, 5 days. Yeah. So,
Well,
yeah, where's and so you get video clips from her, and oh, I'm at this park, or I'm over here, or oh, I'm over there.
yeah.
But yeah,
That's
traveling is a great way to do it. I mean, once you do this and have a mobile office, you could set that up. You could be anywhere. You could come to Sunnybray and still be working. So, yeah, so it's a great idea to do that, right? Is to, from the very get-go, realize that the world is your, you know, wherever your computer is and you are, is your office, and you can go and work anywhere. I think that's a grand idea, right?
Yeah, and I've been receiving those messages all along, and I'm not sure if that's what's actually stopped me from putting, I know I need to put the certifications on the wall for my own acknowledgement and to acknowledge the study and the work and the time that I've put into myself, because there's an element there that I was putting them away in the drawer and not actually acknowledging what I was doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the only, I'm going to answer this, but the only reason you're putting them on the wall is so you can take them down.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Tyson. You're on the Healing Hour.
That doesn't make sense.
I thought I'd interrupt the party.
Oh, wow, yeah. So how are you?
I'm doing okay, thank you.
Wow. Do you want to tell everybody who you are?
This is Valerie.
This is Valerie.
Hi,
Valerie.
Valerie.
Everybody's waving at you. So, Valerie, how are you doing? Are you still grieving like crazy, or are you okay?
I have moods.
Yes.
I have moments.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was supposed to go and pick some ashes up,
Yeah.
but then I chickened out today.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, it's give it time. Give it time. Don't rush it. Don't rush it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Grief is okay. It just, you don't want to, like I say, you don't want to rush it. So are you getting lots of support? Like, do you have support from your family and your elsewhere?
I have support from friends.
Yeah.
And a few family members.
Great. Great. So is there anything that you'd like to work on today?
Maybe clearing any regret or any, regret or grief or
Yeah, that you didn't get it all done, you mean?
sadness.
Okay. Janet, did you have your hand up? Were you going to say something?
Thinking of the compassion key might help her a little.
Okay,
bit.
so take it away.
Hi, Valerie. I'm Janet.
Can you hear her?
Can you hear me? Hi. I've learned one modality. I've had a lot of grief in my life, and I'm congratulating you for working on it right away and not letting it fester. Like some of the stuff that happened to me is I waited way too long to even tackle it, and I ignored it. So sometimes it's important, like especially if you've been taught like, oh, don't get upset or just suck it up, buttercup. If you had that in your life and that it's okay for you to acknowledge how you're feeling. And sometimes it helps just for you to hear yourself say it. So I'm not quite sure what happened in your life to cause the grief, but if you repeated some of the phrases, like if I tell you a phrase and you just repeat it and hear yourself say it, sometimes it's really, really soothing. Would you like to try that?
sure.
Okay, so just I'll say I'm so sorry. You're so sad. You just say. Pardon?
I guess because when my husband died, I wasn't there, so you kind of feel guilty.
Yeah.
I was there practically every day, and then I got so tired, so I phoned him and I said, "Do you mind if I don't come tomorrow? I need a break, because I'm tired." And I could hear that he himself sounded tired. So I just came to the conclusion, oh, well, both of us need a rest. So then, you feel guilty because you didn't show up when he needed you the most.
This compassion key works really well that way. Like, that's so you would just say, like, I'm so sorry you weren't there for him when he needed you the most.
So you just repeat that.
I am so sorry I was not there when you needed me the most.
Right. So the one thing about compassion key is you say it in the you voice, because like you're a strong person, so it's not like you're a victim. So you're giving yourself compassion, not the other person.
How should I say it? I am sorry.
No, I'm so sorry. Like, you're talking to you, the wounded part of you that's like used to not.
I am so sorry.
You weren't there for him.
I was not there when you needed me the most.
Perfect.
So, but you would say, like, I'm so sorry. You're saying it to you, not to him. You're saying it to you. So you're saying,
I'm so sorry.
You weren't there.
I was not there.
No, you don't say I. You say you. Like, you're saying it.
I'm so sorry you were not there when you needed me the most.
Yeah. Or you'd say, I'm so sorry you didn't trust your gut.
You broke up.
Sorry, what?
You didn't trust your gut.
I'm so sorry I didn't trust my gut.
Yeah. Okay. It works better if you can say you instead of I. Like,
I'm so sorry.
You didn't trust your gut.
You were not there, and I did not, and you did not trust your gut.
Yeah. Or like, I'm so sorry he's gone.
I'm so sorry. It's muffled, so I don't hear what you say.
I'm so sorry you are gone. Is that right, John?
I'm so gone.
He's gone. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry he's gone.
Like, I'm so sorry you weren't able to tell him that you loved him one last time.
I'm so sorry I wasn't able to tell you I loved you at that time.
One more time.
I'm so sorry you were gone. And I'm sorry I was not able to tell you I loved you. And you were gone.
I'm so sorry it hurts so much.
I'm so sorry it hurts so much.
So does that make you feel a little bit better when you hear? How do you feel?
Yes, it's feeling better, you know.
Yeah. So that worked really, really well for me. But it's important that you say it like you're a strong person and you're just giving yourself compassion, like where it's like, I'm so sorry.
Also because, you know, like, none of his siblings came. Some, you know, one couldn't because she had a legitimate reason. One couldn't afford it, and the other one because from my perspective, she was too cheap. She said if there was no service, she wouldn't come.
Okay, so this is like.
So I think I'm trying to work through not being very annoyed with the whole family.
Okay, so this is where you could give yourself compassion. It's like, I'm so sorry they weren't there for him.
Well, it's very hard for me to give compassion to them.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you're so angry. You can say that to yourself. I'm so sorry they made you so angry. Okay, so sorry you want to you want to shake them for being so cruel. Like whatever it is that's inside you that's festering, like you just say
I'm so
it.
sorry that they were so inconsiderate.
Right. Good.
I'm so sorry they're so cheap.
That's exactly what one of them is, cheap.
That's right. You just say it like it is. I'm so sorry. They're idiots or whatever it is. Like,
So cheap.
Yeah.
yeah, like whatever. Because otherwise, if you don't say it, it's in your gut twisting.
Right. So now you're letting it all out.
Okay. So you're just letting it out, because if you don't let it out, like, and you could even go deeper. It's like, I'm so sorry they made you so angry. I'm so sorry you hated them for the way they make you feel. Okay. I'm so sorry you felt so helpless. I'm so sorry they'll never get it straight.
I'm so helpless. They made me feel hate them,
Okay.
but I'm more upset at the way they didn't show up, because he was one that always gave to them when they were kids, and for them to be like that, that's what offends me.
Right. So I'm so sorry, like, he gave all his love to takers. Like whatever.
Sorry. He gave all his love to takers.
Very good.
Yeah. So it's just tell it like it is. But it's really important for, like, when you say it, if you say, like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, so don't say that, because that keeps you like the victim. What you're doing,
So like, I'm so sorry, you.
Yeah.
yeah, because you're giving compassion to you, Dorothy. Okay?
Yeah.
So you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, like, I'm so sorry, whatever it is. It's like, I'm so sorry I can't, or you can't slap them out, or whatever it is you want to say. Like, just get it out and don't let it hurt your body.
Okay.
So Janet, how does she get hold of you if she wants to do a session with you?
Actually, if she wants, if she writes to Janet C. at compassionkey.com, I'd love to give you a session, Dorothy. Yeah, for free.
It's Valerie.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I don't even know your. I'm so sorry they don't even say your name right.
It's okay.
All right, I will send you the email. Okay.
Yeah, Janet, and we can set it up and, like.
Yeah, I can send it in chat. Why don't you go to chat and give me, Tyhson, send me her name, and that will remind me.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Just don't
All right. Lots of love to you, and thanks for phoning in.
You too, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, Valerie.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Janet.
Oh, my pleasure. I love Compassion Key. Thank you.
Yeah. Always have a little more compassion for ourselves.
Yeah.
I had a fun session with two sisters and their mother. That's sort of like the three girls, I call them, down the road. And they said, well, that's what everybody calls us, the three girls. I said, well, it's great to meet you, the three girls. I'd love to work with you. And they got themselves all scared because a lot of things were going bump in the night. One of their relatives, a lot of their relatives have been affected by black magic, right? Or black magic or witchcraft. So anyway, we got them all feeling good about who they are and how to show up and loving themselves and getting their names, getting them aligned to their names, right? And then took them all and the person who was giving the most trouble into the Court of Atonement. It was so much fun to watch them just light up like Christmas trees and take back their personal power. And now we've got three white witches in the, call them, I said, I'm graduating you as white witches, right? In the world who understand how to do this. And they were able to understand that every time that there's something spooky like this that shows up or scary, that they're to run together and get so excited because it's one more thing to learn and one more step towards enlightenment, and they got it. I was so excited after that call that these three ladies just understood it so quickly, right? And were so willing to empower themselves from really being overwhelmed by fear and possession to learning how to take back their power and stand in the truth, and how to then turn around and help others all in less than an hour. That was really amazing. That was exciting. So that was a fun thing to do. So what's that in your window, Trudy? What's that? Is that a sculpture or what? Or is that a plant in your window?
It's a log, and it has a big brown snake skin that I found when I was out on the property that goes through it, and some of my healing tools that I've made, which are these are from an owl, and then I've dried his claws around a crystal, so when they contract, so they're just some of my healing tools that I've.
And the snake is around the one that looks like a rock that's got snake skin on it, or what?
Yeah, they're huge. So they're just huge, big snake skin.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I picked up, and it was just part of my journey of saying sorry to snakes for always growing up and fearing them or being taught to kill them.
Yeah.
And they just started showing up, and when I would hop out of the work ute, there would just be a big perfect snake skin there waiting for me on the ground. So I knew that there was a gift for me, and I would just start picking them up and bringing them home and just sit with them and feel the vibration of that, and start to say sorry for my part in what I've played in that, and just the change. And I feel very connected to them. And then I started having dreams. It was probably more when my Aboriginal guides started coming to me. Well, it was exactly that. And then, my Aboriginal guides started coming to me, and I started to have dreams of this big magic snake that was on this chicken coop. And these people have rang me to come and kill it for them. And I get there, and she would just, in my dream, and then she'd be just like, poof, and she would just disappear down into this drain. And I could never, ever get her with the shovel. And then, I kept dreaming it night after night. And then I would dream the same thing the next night, and I'd come there to kill her, and she would lay up there, and she was this beautiful rainbowy shimmery colour, and she would just start to smile at me with this little cheeky smile. And I thought, she's playing a game with me, like this is. And then I eventually convinced the people in the dream that she's magic and you're not to kill her, that she's very important and very special to the land. And that's, that was kind of when I first felt my Aboriginal guides come and want to start working with me. So, they're pretty important to me, and I just like to keep them in my healing room, even though I think they could freak some people out. But I think if I explain the story to them, they would see the connection, and it would help with maybe their connection to the land and messages that the animals have for us. So, I think I could maybe even help people overcome their fear, because I do have some friends that are so terrified of snakes they can't even see them on TV or anything. The fear is so great and the phobia is so great. But I just think it's, they're special to me.
Well, I know when I was working in the sugarcane industry out of town near Townsville, in the sugarcane factory, there would be snakes that would come in, brown snakes, and poor snake, they would just go crazy. They would just kill every snake that ever showed up. Like the Aussies would just go berserk. There was no compassion, no understanding. Every snake that showed up had to be destroyed, right? And I mean, these are grown, big, burly guys, and they just were freaked out of their skull, right? They're just like, just really scary stuff. Well, and interesting enough, in Indonesia, it was different. Snake shows up, we have to cook it up and eat it because it's fresh meat. So it's a different way of looking at the snake. I have one more snake story, and that is I have a friend, Dorothy, who is I guess she's a wizard in a dress, so I'd say a wizardess. So she's in her 80s. I don't know if she's still even on the planet, but what an amazing lady. Anyway, she had the experience of being around a boa constrictor when it was shedding its skin, and the snake was having problems with it, going through a lot of pain. I guess the skin wasn't separating as easy as it should, and so she sent it some energy, and what she got back was, I'm giving this skin to you. So when she got the skin, she was able, because the skin is so huge, it would cover her whole body. So here she is with the snake skin that covered her whole body, right? So that was her gift from the boa constrictor. So yeah, that's pretty amazing. So what else is happening in the animal kingdom? And have things settled down there? Or the owls aren't visiting you anymore, but are there other beings that are showing up?
No, the animals are being quite quiet. Yeah, I can't think of anything that's visited me just lately, not in the last week or so. But just with the snakes, my last partner that I was with, he went away to a men's course with mankind, and he's very ego-driven and very, very strong in his beliefs. So he's finally had decided to go away and do some of this work. Anyway, he came back and we're kind of just friends, and I was still sleeping there for the night, and he'd only just flown back in, and I greeted him for the afternoon, and then we've sort of gone to bed and we're laying there talking. Anyway, it wasn't long when we were asleep, and the snake messages started coming through for me, and I could see him as a snake, and I was asleep and I could see him as a snake, and he started coughing, and he was beside me. He's like, cough, 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 and I could see like he was trying to shed a layer and shed the skin, and it was sort of back around his shoulders, and he couldn't get it off, and he was just coughing and coughing. And I woke up and sat up, and he was actually coughing, and he was cough, 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 and I had to wake him up and say, can you have a drink of water? You're trying to shed something. Can you just hop up and wake up and have a drink of water? You haven't got enough moisture to shed what you need to shed at the moment. And he woke up and had a drink, and the next morning I said, do you remember me waking you up last night and getting you to have a drink? I could see you were a snake and you're trying to shed your skin. And he just looked at me like...
That ended the relationship, eh?
But yeah, it was just, it was like laying next to a snake, and the next morning I was kind of like, oh, what does this mean? Like a snake, does that mean a snake? Like, because a snake is a person, if you describe a person as a snake, they're not quite nice, and I guess people think of snakes as not quite nice. So I had to sit with that message for the day and decide, is this a message about him being near me, that he's a snake and he's not good for me, or is he just shedding a layer and I was there to heal and just be by his side and assist him in removing that layer? So yeah.
Snakes have a bad rap. In fact, if you go through the history, extraterrestrial history of our enlightenment, it's all comes from snake people. They're called Nagas, N-A-G-A, and so the snake, even in the Garden of Eden, is a serpent of wisdom. It's actually your kundalini, or your sexual energy that raises up. And when it comes into the crown chakra, well, if you look at the Egyptians, the cobra's here, okay? Mm-hmm. But that was for the pharaohs because it was coming out of the third eye. And as a cobra, the beady eyes was able to control everybody. So basically what the pharaoh was saying, I'll let your consciousness come to here, but from here up, I'm in charge. You don't have a right to be in the crown chakra because I'm your ruler. This is how I interpret it. But the crown naga is a full serpent that's activated its kundalini and now has a crown. It's just like a white light crown. And the crown nagas are literally what holds all of creation in balance. So for example, many of the indigenous peoples see the earth as being supported on the back of a giant turtle that will roll over and sink beneath the sea. So we're all earth stewards on the back of this giant turtle and need to maintain it. but in the four corners supporting the turtle are four crowned nagas. So it's the energy, the kundalini of the earth that's in balance. And of course, the kundalini in the earth is the geopathic energy that you are working with. And in Australia, the Aboriginals, it's called the rainbow serpent. Okay. It's the same energy. And when that energy is blocked in the flow of the energy on the barn or in your house, then that geopathic stress allows human energy to get trapped in it. So another way of looking at it, which is the chicken, which is the egg? Is it human energy getting trapped in the stress lines, or is the stress lines a result of unexpressed human emotion? Either way you look at it, that trapped emotion, if not released, then leads to disorder and disease, which in the terms of the Earth Mother is volcanoes, tsunamis, fires in California, pestilence, and all the rest of it. So our job as Earth stewards is to work with this fire energy, the dragon energy, the snake energy, and help it become the crown chakra. So if I was an alien and I didn't want you to know all this stuff and realize that you can become enlightened, I'd get you to be scared of snakes.
Yeah.
That's simple.
Yeah, because, well, the Egyptian people, they would worship the cobra, and they would worship because they knew that it was so deadly. Instead of, there's the two dualities, you can either fear it and kill it, or you can worship it and honor it and pay it respect, and it'll leave you alone. So yeah, that's kind of what I choose to do here at the farm now. And I have cats. I have a lot of cats that protect the sheds and the barns. Yeah. So I kind of leave them up to them now, and I just call them in my mind. And especially with the new baby being around, just call them to the house and just ask them to prowl the house and patrol the house grounds and keep the snakes away from the house. And they can have the paddock. They just can't have the house yard. So right. they keep that balance without me having to go in and play.
When I was in one more story, when I was in India, and I was at Oroville International Community, which is a community of, I think, 20 different nations living in India. Fascinating thing about it is that they're issued an Indian passport as well, so they can come and go to this international community, and they all live there, and they work, and they anyway, it's a community. And I went there as a consultant, an environmental consultant, and helped them do some environmental work there. And I needed a massage. So the massage person I went to, he had sort of a part on his finger, sort of had a nick in it like this. And I said, well, what happened? He said, I was bitten by a cobra. I said, well, how come you're even alive? He said, well, interesting you should ask me, because I was told by the natives that nobody survives being bitten by a cobra. And I was told that a week before I was bitten by the cobra. He said, so when I was bit by the cobra, I knew I had a choice. Either I would go into fear, and that adrenaline would mix with the poison of the cobra, and I would be dead instantaneously. Or I could take this as a spiritual journey and use that venom in my kundalini and activate my kundalini. And I said, he said, I chose the latter. And he says, now the natives look at me and they point at me and tell stories behind their back, like, how did he do this? Why is he even walking around? Now, I'll just finish the story because it's a bit bizarre, because then we come to the story of scorpions. Scorpions, the same thing. He's saying, well, people can die of scorpion bites here because they go into fear. So guess what happens to Tyhson? Tyhson goes to bed and he decides not to put the mosquito net on. And in the middle of the night, something drops onto his private parts and he whacks it, right? After swinging. And as he swings out of bed, he crushes the scorpion. And now I have scorpion venom in my body, and now I have a choice. What am I going to do with that? I can't make it to the hospital. So I have to go through running that through my kundalini. And let me tell you, learning how to remember how to breathe is very, very scary because it's automatic. But when your anatomical system is no longer working, You have to do the breathing. It's not automatic anymore. That was the scariest part. And I got to realize a lot of people die just because they forget how to breathe. So I had to take over all those things that normally are taken on a subconscious level by the body. I had to regulate them all and move the energy through my body. It was quite an experience. Don't want to repeat it. Not asking to repeat it or wishing it on anybody. But it was just, what is the likelihood of meeting this guy, having a cobra story, than having the story about, the scorpion and ending up in the same predicament that he was, right? So anyway, that's my scorpion snake story.
Don't try this at home.
Don't try this at home. No, I don't know how I got into that, but anyway.
Well, I had my brother ring this week, and he's in North Queensland, and he went to visit an old guy who's a mud crabber, and his name's Mud Crab Mick, and he's just this old guy, used to be married to this old Aboriginal lady, and they live in the middle of nowhere on the edge in these mosquito flats, and the mosquitoes don't bite him, or the midgies don't even bite him anymore. He just lives there with them. Anyway, my eldest brother went there to go crabbing with him, and he walked out to get a crab pot, and a big jellyfish wrapped its tentacles all around his leg last week, and by the time he got out of the water and pulled it off, he said it's like someone had just wrapped a burning hot whip around and round his leg. His whole leg swelled up, and my brother's like 6 foot. He's a big guy, and he said and tough. Like he's a heavy diesel mechanic, so he's not a sook by any means. But he said the pain, his whole leg and into his thigh and his groin swelled up, and he said to this old Mick, what am I going to do about this? We'll have to go back and get vinegar. He said, boy, you're not wasting vinegar on that. I get stung all the time. And he said, what do you do for it? And he said, it'll be gone in 8 hours. You just ride it out. It'll be gone in 8 hours. So my brother just had to wait it out. And he said to me, if it had have got him around the chest, or around the neck or something like that, he said you would die from it, because the pain and the fear and everything he went through for the day, he said he was just battling with his own thoughts. And yeah.
Well, I guess it brings us back to the theme that we were talking about with the 3 girls. It's fear. Ultimately, the fear is the gateway of possession, and whether it's the fires in California, whether it's fear that you weren't there for your husband when he died, whether it's fear that you could be possessed, or that you could die from a snake bite, or from a jellyfish or whatever. It's really that fear. And the more that we can love ourselves unconditionally, the more that we don't have to have this in our reality, right? Or if it does show up, we can move through it very quickly. But in all those stories that we just shared today, any one of those could have taken, if the 3 girls had stayed in fear with everything going bump in the night and being spooked right out of their mind, they could have been totally possessed and never found a way out, right? And the same with the snake bait, the same with the scorpion, same with Janet. If she had, got over figuring out where her boundaries was, she could have never healed herself, right? So again, this whole thing about our biggest way in which we can be beacons of light is to love ourselves unconditionally. And that's not a selfish act. That's the beginning of being able to love humanity and to serve as a dowser and energy healer. And it all begins with us. Anyway, we're way over the hour. It was an incredible time. Thank you for all the stories and the sharing. Janet, thank you for showing up. Ruinous, wherever you are, that was fun. Same time, same place next week. See you all. It was lots of fun. All right. Bye for now. This is your host, Tyhson Banighen, the Illuminator, your #1 health, wealth, and enlightenment activator. Need some help? Give me a call, toll free, 1-866-369-7464. The Healing Hour, brought to you every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time or 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. During the show, you can phone in toll free in North America, 1-866 369-7464 or 1-866-1000. The Healing Hour is live on Facebook, hosted by the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy and sponsored by the Facebook page, The Healing Arts Academy. Produced by The Wellness Show, and until next Tuesday, same time, same place, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.